on the floor. Take me to a room. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the birth story of my fourth baby, Baker. He was born last May the 6th, right in the middle of the pandemic. My birth plan had to change and we had to adjust the way we were doing things. My husband ended up not being able to attend the birth, so let me just tell you the full story. But first, I want to welcome you back to my channel. If you are new here, hi. I share motherhood content, day in the life, shopping hauls, some cleaning motivation, a little bit of everything. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I'd love for you to subscribe and join the family. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I guess we're gonna start like a little bit before everything started happening. So Baker is my fourth baby. He's my fourth baby. I'm a mom of 5. My oldest is my stepdaughter. So this was my fourth pregnancy and birth. When we found out we were pregnant with Baker, we had just moved to North Carolina 3 weeks ago and we didn't know anyone. And I'm a little bit crazy about who I leave my kids with. So we had found a birth center. I was gonna be able to bring the kids to the birth. I decided our plan of action was going to be for me to hire a doula, and when I went into labor, I would labor at home for, as long as possible, and then we would all get in the car and drive to the birth center, and they had like a big waiting room with like toys and a TV. It's like very, very family friendly. So the plan was we all get there, my husband and doula kind of like ping pong back and forth between my room where I'm birthing and the waiting room, which are, 15 feet. It's not a hospital, it's a freestanding birth center, so it's very close and small. So I was very happy with this plan. My husband was on board. My doula thought it was a great idea. She said that she had like helped families before that, didn't have childcare, and the birth center was on board. They welcome children to be there, to be in the birthing room. They just want like an extra hands for the children, so like not mom and dad and children, like an extra person, so which was going to be my doula. So anyways, this was like August of 2019 when we found out, and then COVID happened. It was like Marchish, right, when stuff got a little bit crazy, and so the birth center had to put in some restrictions, and one of those restrictions was that children weren't allowed to attend the births. The waiting room was closed, and you were only allowed to bring your significant other and a doula, so 2 support people. This was like super upsetting because I didn't want to leave my kids and I didn't want my husband to not be there. So in the end, we decided it was best to just have my husband stay home with the kids, and my doula agreed to come to me and pick me up and take me to the birth center, which was 45 minutes away, and we would video chat Sam when we got there so he could prop him up, like how they do sometimes if like the husband's deployed or like overseas or something. So we're just gonna prop him up in the corner so he could, be there. And my labors are pretty quick, so I figured, once I decided it was time to go, once we got there, it wouldn't be a long process. So that was our plan. Still didn't end up going like that. So anyways, fast forward to 30 something weeks. Baker was measuring really big. All of my children except for my first, Liam, have been big. So my second was 9 pounds 10 ounces. Ella, for a girl, she was pretty big. She was 8 pounds 10 ounces. And so Baker, they were estimating he was going to be a big boy like Grayson, which I know is not accurate. Growth ultrasounds and then measuring your fundal height and stuff, like I know that's not an accurate representation of how big your baby actually is. But given my history and the fact that I gained a lot of weight we just assumed that Baker was going to be a big boy, and he was. So fast forward a little bit further to like 38, 39 weeks, I started having prodromal labor, which is when you have contractions, but they aren't causing a change in your body. So it's really annoying, and you get your hopes up when you're, you know, timing contractions for 2 hours and they're like coming regular, but they're not getting like stronger, you know, and they're not getting closer. So like every 10 minutes you have a contraction, but it's not super painful, you know, and it's just annoying. So I dealt with that for about 2 weeks or so, and at 30 weeks, 5 days, so 2 days before my due date, I decided I was gonna try the Midwives Brew. Disclaimer, I know that castor oil is super controversial when it comes to, you know, taking it to induce labor, and I consider myself to be more along the lines of like a crunchier person when it comes to like lifestyle and pregnancy and birth, but I felt comfortable trying this. My midwives have a cocktail recipe that, not like alcohol, but like a drink that they will give you the instructions to when you're like nearing 42 weeks and you're risking out of the birth center and you might have to go to the hospital. So I wasn't there yet by 2 weeks. You know, I had time. That's not why I took it. I took it because I was just ready for him to be here. He was measuring big. So I wanted to try this to see if I could get Baker to come. I'd been having that labor for 2 weeks, the prodromal labor for 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't want this baby to get any bigger. Like, I'm ready for him to come. So I was going to try it. If it didn't happen, if he wasn't ready, he wasn't going to come. So I'm going to put like I'll type up like what's in it and put it like right here and write it down below. What's in this midwife's cocktail. I think it was castor oil, apricot nectar, some kind of weird like juice. It was really hard to find. Lemon verbena tea and almond butter. You like put it in a blender, blend it up, and it's like, it was a lot to drink. It was like, I don't know, 16 ounces or something. It was huge. It like filled up a shaker bottle. So I drank that around, it was like 5 or 6 in the afternoon of the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And it didn't do anything to me at first. I was really discouraged. I was like bouncing on my ball. I felt no contractions. I mean, I felt nauseous when I was drinking it because it's literally so gross and it's like thick, and I hate smoothies. So I felt nauseous when I was like choking this down. But once I got it down, like I didn't have any contractions. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I didn't throw up. I ended up actually going to bed early that night. So like around like 9ish, which was very early for me. And that was it. I mean, I went to bed, wasn't having anything going on. And then I woke up at 1:30 and I literally thought I was dying. I had the worst cramps, and it wasn't like, at this point I didn't think like, oh, this is labor, like, or these are contractions. I thought, oh my God, like I need to go to the bathroom because my stomach hurt so bad. So I get up, well, I lay in bed for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so, just like, because I mean, they literally hurt so bad I couldn't move. And I finally get up and I go try to use the bathroom, and like I couldn't, like I didn't have to use the bathroom. I get in the shower, I'm timing these, they're like not coming like contractions should be coming, but they hurt so bad. So a little bit after 2, I texted my doula and then I called her and I was like, I think I may be like in labor. Sorry, I had an interruption. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I called my midwife and I explained to her like how they're feeling and how they're coming and stuff. And I wasn't sure if this was like actually labor or not. So she was like, call the midwives and let them know. So since it's a freestanding birth center, there's not people that are like always there. So you have to call and tell them when you're coming. So I called the midwife, and I mean, she can just tell in my voice that I was in pain. And so she was like, you should probably, you know, start to get ready to head to us. And at this point, I think it's probably around 2:30 or so. And I'm still like skeptical. I'm like, is this I don't know, like, is this labor? Like, they're still not regular how they should be, you know, like lasting for a minute, coming every 3 minutes and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna bounce my ball, time them for a little bit longer, and then I will call you and let you know like when we're coming. So I'll call my midwife back, and I'm like, you know, she says that it sounds like I'm in labor, you know, active labor, and I'm just going to time them for a little bit longer and bounce my ball. So my midwife, so my doula is like, okay, I'm gonna start, you know, getting ready and getting myself together to get ready to head your way. So I'm timing them, and then around 3 o'clock, I'm like, a switch flips, and I'm like, okay, I am in labor. These hurt. They're coming regularly. You know, they're getting longer and they're getting closer together. So I text my doula and I'm like, okay, you need to get here, and we need to leave to head to the birth center. So I think she probably lived around 20 to 30 minutes away from me. And she was like, okay, I'm coming. Because Sam was staying home with the kids, she was coming to me to drive my car, to drive my van to the birth center because of the car seat and stuff, to drive us back home. So the good thing about the birth center was you get to leave 3 hours after the birth. So 6 hours is like the longest, and if you are like still bleeding a lot or just not doing well, at that 6 hour point is when they would send you to the hospital to like be admitted and be monitored. And then 3 hours is like the minimum. And you know me, like, I wanted to get home to my kids. I wanted my husband to be able to meet the baby. So I'm like, 3 hours, like, I want to leave. So anyways, there was no need for like Sam to like drive up there and like the kids wait in the car and he comes in and get, you know, like, we just didn't need to do that because we weren't going to be home that much later. So anyways, she ends up getting to my house at 3:38. Went back through my text messages, and you know, this was a year ago. I still remember it vividly because it was like, anyways, 3:38 in the morning, she got to my house and we got going. She reminded me, like, you need some towels in the car just in case, you know, like, get a bag in case you have to throw up. So I got a bag. I got a bunch of towels, laid them all on my seat. My water has never broken until it was time for me to push. With all three of the other ones, my water broke like as I was pushing or right before I was about to push. So I didn't think like that my water was gonna break in the car or anything, but I did it anyways because I just did it. She instructed me to. So anyways, we get in the car. The birth center on a normal day is 45 minutes. I'm definitely going through transition at this point. The contractions are like right on top of each other, like contractions for a minute. I have like a minute and a half rest, and then like it hits me again. So I'm like in the seat, like trying to stand up because like I don't want pressure. I don't want to sit down, you know, like I want to stand up, and I'm like squeezing her hand, and she's speeding down the interstate, but she's doing such a good job of like coaching me through these contractions and letting me like have a death grip, squeezing her hand. And I just remember being like, I'm so sorry, like apologizing after every contraction because I'm like squeezing the crap out of her and she's trying to focus on driving to get us there. And so like I said, that was definitely in transition. We get closer and closer and closer, and they're just getting more intense and more intense and more intense. And right as we get over to get off of the our exit, my water breaks. Like, water everywhere. And I was like, immediately, I was like, he is coming. My water, I just knew as soon as my water breaks, like, I was pushing and the baby was coming. So we call my midwives. We're like, we are driving. We just got off the exit. My water just broke, and like, this baby is coming. Should we pull over and have the baby on the side of the road, or do you want us to keep coming and like to the birth center? The birth center was only a couple of minutes off of the exit, and they're like, keep coming. Like, you're almost here. Just keep coming. They're like, don't push. I'm like, okay. So I'm just sitting there like trying not to push, trying not to bear down, just trying to like squeeze it in. And We pull up to the birth center. There was no one else there, so it was just my midwife and the birth attendant, birth assistant, whatever they're called. Um, I get out of the car and I'm like trying to like wobble inside the birth center, and as soon as we walk in the door, we're like into the waiting room. Like I said, it's dark. Lights aren't on in the waiting room. Like they have my one little room set up for me. Nobody's there, and I'm like, I have to push. This baby's coming, and she's like, okay, honey, do you want to get on the floor? And I'm like, no, I don't want to get on the floor. Take me to a room. So we're like wobbling to a room, and I wanted a water birth so bad. Like, I wanted a water birth so bad. I wanted one with Grayson, but I was too hot to get in the water, so I didn't get in. I wanted one with Ella, but she was like crazy, so they couldn't like monitor her heart rate, so they wouldn't let me get in. And so I was like, this baby, I'm having a water birth. Like, I don't care. If I'm hot, I'm getting in, because I just wanted one so bad. Anyways, we walked into the room and I'm like, is the tub ready? And she's like, no, sweetie, climb up here. And so they had like stacked a couple pillows up on the bed. So it's a birth center, so they don't have hospital beds. They have like queen size regular beds. So they had a couple of pillows like stacked on top of each other on the bed, and they just like led me in there and instructed me to like get on the bed, you know. So I just instinctively climbed on the bed, like hands and knees, you know, like leaning over the pillows, butt in the air. And they're like, and I'm like, I have to push. And I started pushing, and Baker was born a minute later. Like, my water broke at 4:18, getting off of this exit, and then he was in my arms at 4:26. So that's 8 minutes from the time my water broke and we were still driving to the time that he was born. To say that I was like in shock is an understatement. I hate pushing. Like, that is my least favorite part of like the whole labor and birthing process. I have always said that like I can take contractions any day. Obviously they're painful and like they're not enjoyable, but I can manage them and cope with them better than pushing. Pushing just hurts so bad, and I feel like it is just so long, even though compared to labor, it's such a short amount of time. I just really hate pushing. So the fact that this baby literally flew out of me moments after walking in this building was just like so shocking. My face is like, you can just look at me and tell I'm like, what the just happened? So I call my husband on a video chat and I'm like, we just had a baby. He was at home sleeping. So when I woke up with my contractions, you know, like he tried to get up with me and to check on me and stuff. And I'm like, go back to bed. There's nothing you can do for me. Like, Ella was asleep in bed, and I just knew as soon as there wasn't like a warm body next to her, she was gonna wake up upset. So I was like, go lay down with Ella. I'm fine. I don't even think I told him that I was leaving to go to the birthing center, because I'm telling you, it was like so intense and so like abrupt that I was like, okay, baby's coming. So I video chat him like right as soon as Baker was born, and I like composed myself to like grab my phone. We video chatted and I'm like, the baby's there. What? So he was 9 pounds 4 ounces, like 21 inches long. He was a chunky little dude. He wasn't as big as like I thought he was gonna be, but I mean, 9 pounds is still on the bigger side for a baby. So after he was born at the birth center, they let you, you know, hold the baby on your chest for as long as you want until they take him to weigh him and stuff. So we sat there for like 2 hours just cuddling with him and video chatting with my husband off and on. The kids were still sleeping and everything. I think he probably ended up going back to sleep, and so I just sat there with my doula and we just like relived the crazy events that just happened. Around the hour and a half, 2 hour mark, my midwife, you know, took Baker across the room and measured him and weighed him, and I was able to get a shower and stuff. And then by like 7:30, I was like, can I leave? Like, I'm fine, I'm totally fine. I didn't need any stitches. So I'm like, can I go home? And they made me eat something before I left, check my blood pressure and bleeding, all that stuff, and everything was good. So around 7:30ish, we got in the car to come home, stopped by Dunkin' Donuts and got some, you know, a gift from the baby, brought breakfast, donuts, and we got home shortly after 8, and Baker got to meet his siblings and his daddy, and it was just, considering that we had to change our plans halfway through because of the pandemic, I could not have asked for it to go any better than it would have went. My ideal birth would be staying home as long as possible, getting to wherever I'm having the baby, and coming home. Like, I don't like to sit in the hospital. I want to be home in my bed and comfy. Like, home birth would honestly be like my best, like my choice. But it was like 3 times as expensive to have a home birth than it was to use a birthing center. And I just felt like the birthing center was so similar, as in you get to leave shortly and like they respect your natural birthing wishes and stuff. So I remember like right after Baker was born telling my midwife and my doula, if it will be that easy the next time, sign me up. I will have a baby again, because it just went exactly how I could have pictured it to go. So anyways, it was crazy fast and, you know, different considering it was in a pandemic. And honestly, the only thing I would have changed would have been that my husband could have been there, you know, to witness the birth of one of his children, because I'm sure that was hard for him. He is such a supportive birthing partner and was amazing through all my other natural births, you know, like giving me counter pressure and squeezing me, and, you know, he's just amazing. I love him so much, and it was really hard for him to like not be there to share those moments with. Oh, don't cry. What? To share those moments with, like right after the baby was born. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing that story. I love hearing birth stories. Birth is just so amazing, and I just love it. I love birth. I would love to do something in birth work one day when my kids are older and I don't have to worry about leaving them when they're babies and toddlers and stuff. But anyways, thank you guys for clicking on this video and watching it. I hope it was, you know, a fun story to listen to, and maybe encouraging if you are pregnant and thinking about natural birth. You can birth a big baby naturally. If you take anything from this, just know that. But yeah.